Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WABAN, the movie and TV show podcast, where an expert on the subject discusses things with an average viewer. I am your host, Nim, and today I am joined by Jet Black.
I I just can't do it right now. You started this and with the intro for 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Yeah, so on our little recording thing we have, when you press start, it does a countdown. It goes 3, 2, 1, and I was like 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Right before the recording started. And then just went into it without acknowledging it. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Dude, that is going to be stuck in my head. I love the intro to this show.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. It's cool because it has almost like a spy noir type feeling to it. Like it almost feels like it has like a James Bond feel to it. But it sounds cool.
I don't know if I've just heard it before and not recognized what it was from, or if it just reminds me of something else, but I don't know. It's familiar yet unique. It's odd. Yeah, I like it.
It fits the show very well. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. It just shows silhouettes of people smoking cigarettes. I mean, that's basically it, you know?
I mean, yeah.
And spaceships and stuff. But
even a single scene in the show where someone's not smoking?
That's true. That is a good, solid point. So anyways, we finished watching Cowboy Bebop. It's sad, I know. So we watched the first 13 episodes 2 weeks ago, and now we have the last 13 episodes, which sadly this show only went for 26 episodes. You know, by the end of it, I was kind of like, oh, that's it? There's not more? I want more episodes. Look, what other crazy adventures could they go on? Come on.
Right. We found another crazy adventure, which we'll get into later.
Oh, yes, that's true. So the 14th episode, which is the first episode we're talking about today, is titled Bohemian Rhapsody. Let me just remind myself what this one is about. Spike and his crew try to capture the mastermind behind a series of hyperspace robberies. They get closer to the truth about Earth's destruction. Wait, I'm literally blanking on what this episode is like. What
is this
happened?
The chess one? I'm not sure if it is, but
yeah, no, it is. It is the picture. Yeah, it's the one with the chess pieces. Yeah, okay.
I really like this one. Actually, it was unique.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, all of them are unique, but it was cool. And it was at the end, I think the finale, which there's always something. I feel like a lot of these always have a really interesting. A lot of these episodes have a really interesting ending that sticks with you. But it was just this guy was just senile, and all he wanted to do was just play chess.
He came up with this whole plan for revenge that would get set off 50 years later, and so by that time he's just oh, I don't remember any of this, let me play my game. And then
he finally has a formidable chess opponent with Ed, and and it was the last moment of it too was he finishes the chess game. He beats Ed finally. It took him a week of playing one game, apparently. He beats Ed and then dies, I'm pretty sure, right after.
Yeah, he just seems to die happily then.
Yeah.
I got to finish one last really good game.
Yeah, the show has a lot of very bittersweet deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're just kind of where somebody just dies at the end, and it's just oh, it's kind of sad, but also kind of a, I don't know, just weird moment. A lot of very profound moments like that. Surprisingly for what the show is, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have a good balance of comedy and seriousness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know if I have a lot more to say about it. It was a good one. It's titled after my favorite song, so
yeah. I I just really liked the progression of it too, of like before it was always them like hunting down their target and whatnot, but this one was like, oh, we don't have any leads, and I'm trying to remember. They were like each doing their own thing like they always do, but they all kept going into dead ends, and Ed was just there playing chess, and it felt more like intellectually heavy than any other episode, I guess. Mm-hmm. Not like by the viewer, but by themselves, the characters.
I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it was a neat change of pace. And like they really built him up as like this mastermind character, and then it was just a senile old man at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, yeah, no, I liked it. Mm-hmm. It's good. Do you want to move on to the next one? Next is the episode My Funny Valentine. So this is the one where they find out about Faye's past a little bit more, and you find out like she woke up and like, which this was actually interesting because like in the first half, I guess I never fully realized. I was like, oh yeah, we never did get a backstory for Faye. Like she just kind of showed up and was just like there, and then for the show, and then she, so it was kind of interesting to find out like what it was. And with this episode, it just kind of shows like she doesn't remember what her previous life was. She was frozen for like many years and then reawakened. And then there's that guy who like tried to con her out of the money by pretending to be in love with her.
Yep. What? Pretending, because at the end he like confessed to her, and then he acted like, no, that was still a lie. Don't worry about it. Just forget about it. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like early on, he seems very. It almost seems very sincere. Like I was like, oh, this is kind of like a nice little love story. Mm-hmm. And then he dies. And I'm like, oh, he died. Oh, I see. Wow. So it's like a tragic love story, right? And then all of a sudden, there's the scene where she's like, he left you in his will with all of his money. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like, like interesting. And then all of a sudden he's like, and which includes all of his debts. And I'm like, so he did that on purpose. And then you find out he's alive and you realize fully like, oh, so he just did that, faked his death so that she would get his debts and he wouldn't have to worry about them anymore. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, so this is not a sweet love story at all.
No, it's a full con.
But just like, I feel like that's very fitting for this show. Like having something that seems like it'd be like a sweet love story and then just turning into like somebody trying to con somebody else. Like that's the world that they've set up in this show. It just makes sense. And for it to happen to Faye, I feel like is very fitting too. Like she's just, yeah.
I mean, it really explains her character. Like,
well, from the moment we met her, from the moment we met her character, her whole thing was that she was in tons of debt, and she was trying to like get rid of that debt, and she has a gambling problem. Yeah. So that was actually cool. It was, and then we get more detail on her backstory a little bit more as the show goes on as well.
Yeah, but and then there's a whole reunion where like she notices him, like they catch the guy, and you see him, and he's like, "Wait, is that?" And she has the same reaction. It's like, "Why are you so fat now?" And all this stuff, and what happened? And tell me the truth. And you see the doctor and his assistant again, and it was just, all this is just coming back right now. And she has her own little moment of what little satisfaction she can get out of locking the dude up.
And then she's like, well, and then there's a scene where she like takes him and it makes it seem like she's trying to escape with him or help him escape, but like she's really just trying to go and she's just like, I'm gonna go and get the reward for him. Like, yeah. I think it's funny how like just people, like somebody that she knew just happens to have this bounty that they are going for. Like it's a little convenient.
Yeah, you put a little bit of convenience in there for the plot, just so you can,
get it going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can move on to the next, unless you have anything to say about that.
No, I'm all good.
Next is Black Dog Serenade. So if it's Black Dog, it obviously has to do with Jet. Mm-hmm. So
Jet Black.
this, yeah. Yeah, so this is the one where Jet ends up meeting the guy who took his arm from him.
Right.
Except, well, that's right. This is the one. So he meets like his old partner, and then the guy who was in the syndicate who shot him and caused him to lose his arm. And then it turns out by the end that there's like the twist. This was actually really interesting. I really like when they get into their backstories. I think it's always really cool.
Oh yeah.
And it turned out that it was this guy, his partner, who did it because he was trying to he was working with the syndicate or trying to prevent him from stopping them. Mm-hmm. And it was this whole thing, and it was it's kind of they all have their tragic backstories,
Yeah, it was a really good twist. And then especially at the end where you see him loading the single bullet into his revolver, and you watch him shoot the assassin as he's trying to tell Jet the truth. Yeah. And of course Jet turns on him and gets all mad and expects a fight. And there's this moment of him leveling the gun at Jet, and you know that there's no more bullets left in there. You know exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he makes Jet shoot him. He tricks him into shooting him so that...
Yeah.
I don't know, to put a finale to it. It was great. It was so well done.
And then it also has that little motif of the cigarette thing where he's like, I quit smoking. And then at the end he's like, hey, can you pass me a cigarette? And he's like, I guess I never did finish, never did really quit, could really quit or whatever. Yeah. And it's because, his final moments before he dies and everything. And I don't know, the show does a lot of that, adding little details like that to things of people's final moments of them dying, and just little details to characters' relationships to really emphasize it when they do die. It's just a simple thing oh, can you pass me a cigarette? He just wants one last cigarette before he dies.
Yeah, it's so good.
And it's also referencing a conversation they had earlier in the episode, so it's just really cool.
They spend the whole episode setting all of this stuff up of the cigarette stuff, the assassin, his partner, all of it, just for one little twist, one little betrayal. And then as the betrayer is dying, just one little tiny bit of sympathy based on the entirety of the rest of the episode.
It's
just one little detail, and everything turns back around again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a really cool episode. I like that a lot. I don't know if I have much more to say about it, though. I think that's the thing about a lot of these episodes is I really like them, but I don't have tons to say about them.
Well, they're not overly complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can go in detail and analyze every bit of it, but that's not what we do. Yeah,
that's the thing. I feel it's just they're also each episode has a very simple. It's a very simple show, really. Mm-hmm. It's not too complex, but it's it's that simple idea that just works really well. That they just do really well.
Mm-hmm. Each episode has what it wants to do, and it does it very well in this
each
very
episode
simple,
tells its own
manner.
Story. Yeah, and each episode tells its own story that's separate from the rest.
Yeah. No,
and it's crazy.
Crap.
Yeah, and it does a good job of going from comedic stuff to really emotional stuff too. It does a good job at that, and Speaking of comedic stuff, the next episode is Mushroom Samba.
Oh yeah.
So
what?
We got some drug trip scenes in this, which just those were hilarious.
When Ein first ate the mushroom, I've seen that scene as like GIFs so many times.
Really? Yeah. Where he's like hopping like weird. Yeah.
That exact moment where he just boing, 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 boing.
And then it's like so Ed has the guy captured, the guy who has a big bounty on his head. And then he's like, oh, I'll give you these mushrooms. They're worth a lot of money. And they turn out to be regular mushrooms. So all they can do is eat them. And then at the end of the episode, they're like making all this mushroom food. And that's all they have. We're like, I'm sick of mushrooms. That's all we got. It's like, if only Ed had like, it's like Ed's not a great bounty hunter, but you know, it's because Ed is just a child. So
yeah. I think what especially hit me was Spike's trip of just climbing the stairs, and you just see him walking in place on the stairs, but he's just going.
Yeah, and then he sees that like frog, and it's like, this is the stairway to heaven or whatever. You're dead.
You know
like,
that, right?
I'm just like, what?
And
he just keeps stepping. He's just stepping in the same place over and over again, but like in his trip, he's walking up really long stairs. Yeah. It was, it was funny. It's like, I wonder why these mushrooms are illegal.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it other than that. That was funny.
Yeah, it really didn't add anything. It was just a funny episode.
Yeah. Kind of like the episode in the first half that we did, the one that's like the refrigerator.
Yep.
With the thing was left in the refrigerator and it was like turned into a monster, like
poisoning them.
It's like one of those kind of episodes where it's just funny. Next is an episode titled "Speak Like a Child." Let's see. This is the one where Faye gets the packages, and it's the VCR, or not the VCR. I guess it's a what's it called? Tape? No, but like VCR is one type, but then it's like, what's the other? Because remember, they grabbed a VCR by accident. Yeah, beta. That's right. It's like a beta tape. So it's this beta tape, and they have no clue what it is, obviously, because this is like, you know, at least. Well, okay, so this takes place in 2071. Okay. Right? And I think when like Faye.
Nearly a century since that became outdated. I don't actually know when betas and VHSs were quite popular. Well, I guess
like the 90s, and then like the DVD really started hitting like early 2000s and stuff. So and like taking over. I just
remember like, when I was really little, no, we did have mostly VHS. Like,
I did too. Yeah. Like I remember when we first got a DVD player, like, yeah, and I love they go on this whole journey. Like it's like a whole archaeological like search for these VHS players and beta players. Like literally, they have to like go in the wreckage of like old ruins on Earth to find them. It's literally like an archaeological dig. Like it's literally like Indiana Jones. They're just like searching through ancient ruins, but it's like modern ancient ruins. Because like
instead
obviously
of the
this
golden
is
monkey, they're looking for a fucking beta player.
Yeah. Exactly.
Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull. Oh, fucking Spike and Jet and this VHS player.
Yeah. But like it's crazy because they have no clue which one to grab. So they end up grabbing the wrong one because they have no clue. They're like, they don't know what this even is. So it's like, it's just hilarious. But I think it was interesting though, because like it ended Actually, one thing that's really interesting about this too is like they went through all this effort just so they could see what was on the tape that was given to Faye. Like, I think that's interesting. Like, it's almost like it shows that they really do care about her.
Yeah.
Even though they might act like they don't.
But they do.
And they're annoyed by her, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the general vibe of this show. It's like everybody acts like they don't like each other, but they do. They secretly do.
They're
it's
all
like
soft on the inside. They're
all like, yeah, you guys suck. Why am I with you? Even it's like you could leave at any time, but you don't. You choose to stay. So but yeah, I really like the ending of the episode when it was like they watch it and it's like it was actually kind of like sad because it's like the younger version of Faye is like making like in 10 years I'm gonna rewatch this, like this is for my future self kind of video, right?
Yeah.
And which obviously it's way more than 10 years now, but like, wow, physically she might be 10 years older, but not
even the way it was worded was really good because it was like, her younger self was saying, I won't be there anymore, but I'll be cheering you on, or like, don't lose me. And it was like, okay, she kind of lost her, yeah.
But like it's not her fault though, because it's like she lost her memory in the process of the freezing, the cryogenic freezing, whatever thing that happened.
Yeah,
and it's like this sad moment of like,
oh yeah, very, very sad.
It adds this like, yeah, that was like really like when that episode ended, I was just like, oh shit, that's like, yeah. That's, yeah. I don't know. It's just really interesting.
It really hit hard.
Yeah.
They did a very good job of it.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that, unless you have anything.
No, we can move on.
Next is Wild Horses. Trying to remember which one this is.
With the cowboy?
No, this isn't. It seems like it would be based on the title, but it's not.
No.
Spike goes to the Earth to get... so this is the one where Spike meets with the guy who he got his ship from, and like he goes to repair it. Yeah, that's right. And he goes to repair his ship. Yeah, this was a cool episode. It's kind of cool because it's like the show is giving all these backstories for all the main characters, and it's like, let's give backstory to his ship, Yeah,
I really liked how they did the old man, right? Because he doesn't talk a lot. You don't know a lot about him, but all like the pictures and memorabilia all around like his desk and stuff, and just the workshop itself.
Yeah.
You can pick up a lot. Like, it seems like he was like one of the original like shuttle mechanics or even pilots or whatever from like before the collapse, like NASA projects and other space projects, and it looked really cool. Yeah,
no, it is really cool. And then like and the ending is like they're flying, and it's like they're like, oh, they don't know if they're gonna crash or not, and then it just cuts and just shows the picture. So it's like, okay, they made it safely, but it shows that he added the picture to his like wall. Like, that was just a cool like little ending. And just the guy and his like assistant, and it's like it almost seems like he maybe grew closer to his assistant there too, like through that event. Yeah, because at the beginning he never even says his name, right? He's like, oh wait, no, that's a different thing. No, that was a different episode. Never mind.
Right.
But I was getting episodes confused. But he definitely seemed to be very like, yeah. So maybe he like grew closer to him. I was thinking of a completely different episode. So sometimes like different moments where episodes get jumbled up in my head, and I'm like,
I get it. Yeah. You were thinking about the mappers.
Yeah, which is like way late. That's like much closer to the end. But yeah, no, this was nice. I do like seeing like the episodes that kind of get into like people that the characters know from their past, or like, you know, that they have like a history with, and it's like clearly Spike has known this guy for a while, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of nice to see that usually. I don't have much more to say about it.
I mean, I've always been interested in the ships in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all kind of have this cool look to them.
Mm-hmm. And they're all very unique. The swordfish
exactly.
for Spike, Jet's Hammerhead.
Yeah.
The Red Tail, I think, is the main ship. I don't know what phase is called, though. But they're all fish, which I just noticed recently. It's like,
oh, yeah, that is cool. Yeah, they all have kind of like a cool design that almost feels like it could be like real almost. Like nothing feels like, everything is like obviously advanced technology, but nothing in the show typically feels too like out of the realm of possibility, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I used to see online people going like, oh yeah, spaceship designs don't need to be aerodynamic like airship designs do. So you can just make it whatever you want. And they really take that idea in Cowboy Bebop, because two ships are alike.
Yeah. But no, just like thinking about the technology of the show in general makes me think about like the choice that they did, which I really like, to just kind of have the guns just be modern guns, like normal modern guns. Like guns don't look vastly different. They're not like laser guns from Star Wars, you know, like you would expect. Like, no, they just have straight up guns. Like, and I've heard too that the guns are actually pretty accurate, like, because, you know, like gun physics and stuff, and like how, you know, getting the right amount of bullets and stuff like that, and like are pretty accurate in this show, which like that's a, you know, always a thing with like TV shows and movies, like they always get things wrong about it. Like, but they put that much attention to detail for a show that could have easily just gone and went, you know, they just have lasers, like, you know, they just have laser guns. Like, they could have done that because, it takes place, you know, all these years in the future, and it's got spaceships and stuff. But no, they decided to go with, like, real guns that we have now. And, like, which I think is cool. It, like, almost grounds the show in reality a little bit more, I guess.
More easily understood to everybody.
Yeah. Well, and, like, it just fits the aesthetic really well. Like, the kind of cool, like, spy cowboy space aesthetic they're going for. Space Western James Bond, I don't know, all these things.
Yeah, it's a weird amalgamation, but yeah, it works.
Yeah. We can move on to the next episode, which is a really interesting one, which is Pierrot Le Fou, which is the Mad Pierrot. If you remember him, the guy, just the freaking insane assassin, like, and then at the end, it turns out he's just got the brain of a child, which made that final moment almost seem sad. Even though, like, he's a terrible killer who just goes around killing people for fun. But, like, he's, like, yelling like a child, like, oh, I want my mommy, oh, it hurts. Like, so it almost makes you feel bad, even though he's, like, a monster.
Yeah, they really build him up as this, like, unstoppable killing machine that enjoys the slaughter. And Spike continues to hunt him down and be tormented by him in this sick carnival, and then he gets one attack off and he collapses from the pain, unable to handle it, and just starts weeping and wailing.
Well, I think that's an interesting concept, is like the idea of, like, you know, it's really difficult for you to get any sort of hit on him, but if you do, he's done. He's down for the count. He can't take one hit. You know, he got hit one knife into the knee or into the leg, and he's done. You know, but it's hard. That's the thing, is it's really hard to get one hit on him. So it's like, that's what makes him so deadly. That, and he's just generally really good at killing, and he can freaking fly and like
all this other shit. The force field on him basically, and all the weapons that he has on him all the time.
Yeah. Oh, is this the one? Oh my gosh, the visuals in the scene where it was getting into his origin, they like watched a video, they found like something online, or like they looked up to figure out more about him. And there was that whole like the visuals of like his past, and like that whole scene was just so weird. It was like a crazy trip almost. I don't know if you remember.
I mean, it kept cutting between like him, their various ways of torturing him during the experiments, and the cat. Yeah, the cat.
Yeah, and he had the fear of cats. That's right. Which is like that's what distracted him for Jet to be able to like, or not Jet, for Spike to be able to get a shot off on him. Yeah, no, but that was so like I got to that part and I was like watching it. I was just like, holy fuck, this is just the way it was all edited together and like the music. This show is just generally really good at that kind of stuff a lot, but like. Yeah, that was really good.
Oh yeah, it was so good. And even with the cat thing, early in the episode, he hears a stray cat meow while he's about to kill Spike, and he whips around and starts shooting at it, like screaming, and Spike can get away. So
yeah, exactly.
And then later they explain it and utilize it yet again.
Yeah, he just has developed this deep-seated like hatred and fear towards cats. Because there was always this cat watching him during those experiments and stuff. Yeah, that traumatized him. Yeah.
And then as he's crying and wailing, the parade just marching by him until the giant animatronic crushes him.
Oh my gosh,
just that whole dramatic thing. Yeah.
This show has some crazy like moments like that just really like mess with you. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, he's such a cool like unique villain. Like it's so weird. Like I don't know. When he's like pulling out his umbrella and it's like a gun and he's shooting it and I'm like, is he the Penguin? Like, he's an umbrella that's a gun? Is he a Batman villain? And there's like a scene where there's like actual penguins in the place or whatever, like penguin animatronics or whatever the hell. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is Penguin. This is a reference to the Penguin. He's got a top hat. He's like fat, you know, like he's wearing
the same
like
little penguin tuxedo.
Yeah, I'm like this is supposed to be a reference to the Penguin. I bet. Yeah, but yeah, no, it was really cool. I don't know if I have much more to say about it though.
I'm all good.
Next is Boogie Woogie Feng Shui.
Oh, this is the
yeah. So this is the girl whose father is like the Feng Shui master, and he's like missing, and she's trying to find him, and well, it was somebody that Jet knew. And so she like, and he sent like a message to Jet, and that's how he found her. And it opens in like that sort of like detective noir style where it's like the narration over top of it, where it's like, I received a mysterious message one day, and then from an old friend, and it led me here. I wonder what that means. Like, it has that like detective noir style kind of thing, which a lot of the show does in general, but like that very specifically.
Right. That's a very common trope in it.
Yeah.
And it continues throughout the show every once in a while.
Yeah. But like, it was kind of interesting though, because like, you kind of get this hint that like he's developing some feelings for her throughout it, but like, he just seems significantly older than her, and it's, I don't know.
That's a Japan thing.
That was kind of weird. Yeah, maybe. Because he's like telling her about how he remembers when she was a little girl and stuff. And I'm just like, okay. Okay.
I think Japan in general has a much different viewpoint than America does with that sort of thing. And
right. I guess that makes sense. But yeah, no, that's why like I was at the end, I was like, okay, I'm glad they didn't like really go anywhere with that. I'm like, she's only in this episode. It's not like they actually developed anything with that, because that would just be really uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, it'd be so.
Yeah, I don't know what I have to say about the episode though.
I liked, because obviously the Feng Shui kind of stuff is this mystical sort of thing. But whenever the girl explained it, it was always like, oh yeah, there's a magnet on the thing that allows it to be affected by the electromagnetic field of people. Or this and that happens. That's like scientific-ish.
Yeah, it's like there is a science behind it, but
it's like a mix between mystical and science. And I liked it. I liked that little explanation.
Yeah, no, I like that episode. Yeah, I really like all the episodes. I don't think there's a single episode in this show that I didn't like. Like there's some that I didn't care for as much. Like there's some that I'm like, yeah, that was good, but like there's none that I like dislike. So I think they're all generally pretty good.
And even like there's the end of this episode where it's just her father saying his last words to her, and like just wanting to see her one last time, and that was this whole wild goose chase, was just to get those last words.
Yeah, which I feel like that's such a thing for this show to do, to have this whole big thing just for the ending to be something very small and simple. Like for instance, the one episode earlier we were talking about, it's like the guy who he's just a senile old man, wants to play chess. It just becomes such a simple thing. And it's like they really do that a lot in this show, that kind of thing, and I think it works really well. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it really has a habit of building up this whole thing and then being like, no, we're going to give you this instead of the thing that you were looking for.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the Mad Pierrot, he's this killing machine. Nobody knows where he's from. He's just got the brain of a child and likes to kill for fun. Like, whatever. And has superpowers, I guess. Can fly and stuff. Yeah. No, I really like how it does a lot of that kind of thing. Next up after that episode is Cowboy Funk. Now this is the episode that really puts the cowboy in Cowboy Bebop.
Proud of yourself for that one.
Yeah. I was thinking of saying that while I was watching it. Well, they literally have like a little standoff at the end where they like their guns that fit with like cowboy music playing in the background, and it's like the wind blowing and everything. It like really feels like that's like one of the most Western feeling moments of this show.
Oh yeah. And then it suddenly ends like this show always does, where just we're just gonna flip this on its head real quick.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and then the guy just becomes a samurai now. It's like, okay, whatever. Which that's actually kind of funny because
they mentioned that earlier. That'd be better if he was a samurai.
Yeah, that. But also, like, it's kind of cool because it's like people have said, like, the samurai movie has obviously like a big thing in Japan. But it's like the samurai movie is almost like it's been said that that's like the Japanese version of the Western, kind of. Because like a lot of the stories have very similar like types of stories and stuff, but just with samurai instead of cowboys, right?
Right.
And stuff like that.
Standoffs, like gun drawing duels. It's just sword fights.
Right. So it's like the samurai movie is kind of like, it's essentially like the Western of the Japanese Western, basically.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's kind of the general, which I don't know if I've ever seen a real samurai movie, actually. Like some of the classic ones, like Kurosawa movies and stuff like that. Like I don't think I've seen them, like Seven Samurai and stuff like that.
I don't think I've seen
those
any
kind of movies.
either.
I don't think I've ever seen any of those like classic ones, like I need to see them at some point.
Yeah, we should find one.
Especially like Seventh Samurai. I think that's the one I hear a lot about.
Now that we're on that subject, I do want to have you play Ghost of Tsushima, and I want to play it with the black and white filter that's based on those like really old samurai movies, because I just want that seems so fun.
That would be cool. Yeah. But yeah, and you know, another thing I like about this episode, he literally uses the line like after he gives him the hat and he's like, "Oh, you're the real cowboy," whatever. At the end, he literally uses the line that's at the end of every episode. There's like that little "See you, space cowboy." He's just like he just says that. He's "See you, space cowboy," and I was like,
"Yeah,
of course."
And instead, at the end of the episode, it says "See you, space samurai."
But like, it almost gives me this weird feeling that like the entire show, whenever it was saying "See you, space cowboy," it was just pointing towards that moment. Like that's all it was. It was getting you ready for that moment. Even though that's such a weird, inconsequential episode that's not really important to the rest of the episodes.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's so great. I love it.
And the entire time they're just ignoring this one bomber.
Yes, the teddy bear bomber. They go to the costume party. How did you know it was me? Oh, the giant teddy bear costume definitely didn't tip us off. Like, and the whole idea that they're both like just the same, and that's why, you know, they hate each other so much.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting it wrong. He's like, "Oh, you must be the teddy bear bomber." And it's like clearly not. It's so funny. He just comes riding in on a horse everywhere he goes, too.
Oh, yeah. And like the third time that Spike was going to meet him, and he's like waiting for the whistling to start for him to show up. Because he knows at that point that marks his arrival.
He just has the Western cowboy whistle. Like, what?
And like, most like, that intro scene that he always does, he's never the one whistling. Who is whistling?
Yeah, I don't know. Like this, maybe he has like a little like audio track playing. Like he literally has like a little like thing that plays audio tracks on him, like a little speaker, and then just like plays it. Just because that's the way he is.
I wouldn't be surprised, but like, it's so good because you just hear it in the background while everyone's talking, and you're just like, "Wait, what the hell is that?" And by the end of it, you're just like, "Oh, it's this guy again, of course."
But yeah, no, I really liked that episode. But yeah, I get that. There's like that part at the end where they're like at the top of the building with all the rubble, and there's like it's just like wind blowing. You know, there's like a wind blowing this old raggedy flag, and they're like standing there ready with their guns to shoot each other. Like it just feels so Western. Like that's the most like Western feeling this show has ever gotten.
Yeah, well, it still has like, you know, it's a space Western, right? And it has all just subtly in the background. It still has the space aspect because like the thing that falls and hits to mark the start of the duel is a satellite. And they're on the ruins of this skyscraper. Right, yeah. But, yeah. And they just start running, shooting each other. But it's kind of funny, though, because it, like, sets it up like it's going to be, like, this standoff where it's, like, you know, one quick draw and somebody shoots somebody. But then they both pull out and they start running and just shooting bang, 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 bang. And, like, over and over again. And just, like... Then they both run out of bullets and they just start punching each other. Even though they have no reason to fight each other realistically. Oh yeah, they're just really annoyed at each other. They just really hate each other. Like they both could be taking their time to capture the guy that's going to actually get them a bounty, you know, make them money, but no, they're going to fight each other because they're just annoyed at each other. I also really like the idea that at the very beginning, Spike is like messing with the teddy bear bomber and like about to capture him. The entire time he's holding a bag of groceries. Like,
Oh yeah.
I imagine he just stumbled into that. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do a bit of work while I'm buying groceries. You found Spike on his day off.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like what this show would do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I love this episode.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
This was probably my favorite. This is probably the funniest episode of the show, honestly. Like, there's some funny episodes, but this might be the top.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's close. But yeah, anyways, the next one is titled Brain Scratch.
Right. The download your brain onto the internet kind of thing.
Yeah. So that was interesting. So that's like this whole kind of philosophical, like, detach yourself from the world thing, like detach yourself from worldly possessions, from worldly worries and stuff, like that whole kind of meditation thing. From, that's like prominent in, like, Asian cultures, I guess, like Asian, like religious kind of cultures stuff.
Yeah, very like monkish.
Yeah, but they took it and turned it into and fit it with like a futuristic, like, sci-fi thing with like, oh, download your brain to a computer, like,
and it
digitally.
Fits oddly well, because the whole thing is like, oh, get rid of your worldly desires, your bodily desires. Oh yeah, get rid of your body and download your mind into the internet.
By literally, yeah, exactly. And then at the end, it was literally just this one guy in a hospital bed who was like on life support, just kind of doing all this. And they shut it down. And he was like, no, I don't want to go. And that, like, that's another one of those moments of like those end moments where it's like this weird kind of like bittersweet ending where it's just kind of sad, but also like it's just crazy. And then like it turns out to be something so simple. It's just this guy who's like a genius, but like he's like in a coma, and he wants to exist on the internet because he can't exist in his body right now, because it's like, it's just, though, I don't know, the way this show takes like things and has these really kind of simple ways of ending things, but like simple, but also powerful, kind of really like hits you.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just, it does it so well. And I think this is another one of those episodes that does that so well.
Basically every episode of Cowboy Bebop, you go through the path, you see the path, you know where you're going, and then it just kind of like goes, nah, someone takes a swing at you with a bat and spins you around so that you're going in a completely different direction.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, no, I really liked it.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
I don't know what I have to say about it, but other than what I already said, but I don't know. Do you have much to add on that?
I was a little confused with Faye running off to join it. I never was clear if she was like joining it just to get the bounty or not.
Yeah, I don't know if it was never fully clear, because it was implied that she did it because she was trying to get to the guy to capture him for the bounty, but it also was like a little bit like maybe she was trying to actually do it. Like I feel like with Faye, you never know what she might do. Like, she seems like to be a very like spontaneous, sporadic character who will just make decisions on a whim that are like, what? She's like that type of person. So I wouldn't put it past her to just suddenly be like, you know what? This is what I'm doing now. I'm going to join this cult. like I wouldn't put it past her, but at the same time, like, it would also make sense for her character to do it specifically to try to get like the guy to capture for the bounty. So I don't know.
So
I feel like either one would make sense for the character. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
And then there was Spike's whole thing where he somehow found where Faye was, which I guess that's excusable because he could like track down the call or whatever. But like, why did he go there alone? He had no idea what he was dealing with, and he couldn't do anything. He was like shooting the monitors and the wires. Like, he did nothing.
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty Spike thing to do. Just be like, True. I don't know what I'm getting into, but I'm going to do it anyways. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just going to jump into it alone. I don't care. I'll find a way to get out. Like, that's a very Spike thing. Like, if it was Jet, he would be much more careful and, like, cautious about it. Whereas Spike is more just like, let's jump into it.
The more dangerous, the better.
Pretty much. Like, the fact that he survived as long as he did at the show is surprising. But yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say about it. I do really like it. Really like it. Next is Hard Luck Woman, episode 24. So we're getting very close to the end. We only have 3 left. Hard Luck Woman, which is the one... so this is the one where Faye goes off to try to find more out about her past. She actually finds where she originally lived. She gets Ed to help because Ed recognizes the fountain. Mm-hmm. And then Ed ends up leaving to go with Ed's father. This is the one with Ed's father in it too.
Yeah, the map maker man who's just...
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of before when I made a little like... The guy who couldn't remember his partner's name, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's McIntyre. Hey, Macintosh. Whatever.
Ed's father is so... Like, yeah, that would be Ed's father, all right, but it's like, what is this character? Yeah, you gotta suck eggs, and I'm really good at fighting and really, really strong for some reason.
Yeah. Ed in general is like, what is this character? Mm-hmm. Well, because like it's weird because it's like Ed shows up in episode like I don't remember, like somewhere closer to the beginning, but not super close. Like maybe past episode 5, right?
Right.
Stays in the show for a while until right before the finale. Isn't even in the finale, like. It's just, but like it's still like one of the main characters. Like it's in the like is in the intro and stuff like that. Like it's just such a weird. It's just weird. Like
yeah, I don't think any other show has done that.
Well, I think it's like it's weird because it's like it's almost like they feel like Ed wouldn't fit with certain styles of the show, like the finale. When they get to the finale, it's almost like they're like, oh, Ed is not going to fit very well in the finale, so let's just make it so Ed leaves before the finale.
Well, I kept thinking she would appear and help with like hacking stuff, but no, not at all.
Yeah, or like in the other 2-part episode, they're like, oh, Ed doesn't really seem to fit in that 2-parter either, so they just kind of wrote Ed out of it, like where Ed just kind of was in the ship the whole time that everything was happening. So like it's almost like the creators don't I don't know, it's like they like the character of Ed, but they also don't sometimes, where they're like, you know what, Ed just doesn't fit this story we're trying to tell.
Yeah.
But certain other ones, it's like the mushroom one, they're like, oh yeah, Ed's like the main character of this episode, like, but then I don't know.
It's just like I feel like the least main character ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say so. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about the character. Like, I like the other main characters. Like, I think all of them get good backstory and stuff. I mean, Ed gets backstory too, but like, I still like, I don't know how to feel about the character. Like, it's just, Ed is just such a weird character. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that the live action remake of this show that Netflix did, that it's like a 10 episode show of like 45 minute episodes. I don't even think they have Ed in that.
Huh.
I could be wrong, but I think I watched the intro, and like at the end when it shows a picture of all 4 of them like silhouetted, it only showed 3, like the 3 other characters in, I think. because I was watching it earlier today, like just the intro for the show, because I was curious. So like, I think it, maybe because they were like, this character just doesn't work in live action. Because Ed is very much a cartoon character.
Oh yeah,
It's yeah.
So her idle animations of just walking around or sitting there are so cartoonish, and like, oh, she's balancing this thing on her head all the time.
Yeah. So like, to try to do that character in live action would maybe feel too weird and like not work. So maybe that's why they didn't. Yeah. So it's just interesting. I don't know. I still don't know how to feel about the character, but this is the final episode she's in. So I don't really know what to say about it, but she's not in the show anymore after this episode. So and I wasn't sure if Faye would come back either, because Faye kind of ends with her leaving. So I figured this was like the big, like, the characters. So like the characters leave, and like, and Ein leaves with Ed.
Yeah, that was sad.
That was sad.
The puppy. No.
So I thought the idea was like, okay, they want to set it up so that the finale is just back to the original crew from the first episode, which was just Spike and Jet. And it's like they want to get it back to that for the finale. That's what I kind of figured was the whole thing with this episode.
Right.
But there were some sad...
but
there were some sad moments with Faye, though. Like, they did really good with her character here. Like, because it's her exploring her past. And she starts to remember stuff. And it's so sad because it's like one of her friends that she like graduated high school with and stuff is like really old now. And she's like, oh, is that Faye? I remember you. And she's like, what? Like, I guess it's and she goes to like this building that she knew when she was younger, and it's like destroyed, and like she starts to so I think they handled her.
Drew in the dirt, like, to mark out, I assume, where her bed was or something like that.
Yeah, it's like this really sad stuff where she, like, it's almost like not like not remembering all that stuff was almost better for her, because it's like, she doesn't know what she, her life that she had before, so she can't like miss it, But like now that she's starting to remember things, it's almost like it's even more sad, because now she's actually able to be like realize the life that she lost. So so it kind of, it's interesting. And then she realizes, like, so she's like, oh, I'm going to stay there. This is my people and stuff. But then I think she starts to realize, like, they're not her people anymore. Like, at this point, like, there's nothing for her there, which obviously is why she tries to come back in the finale episodes. But
there was the whole thing about when she remembered, she rushes past Ed, saying that she remembers where she belongs and that Ed should go to where she belongs to, which Ed had a place. It was her father, right? But then Faye gets there and no, she doesn't belong there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Because, like, the only people who knew her from back then are, like, super old now, It's just like, if they're, it maybe that one woman she had been friends with years ago was the only person who would still know her. Maybe. Maybe all the rest of them are dead. I don't know. But, like, it's been so long that it's like, yeah. Not the only show we've talked about on here about a character who's been frozen in time for a long time and then came back later to realize a bunch of their people have died.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, which one was it? Which one was it? Which one he's talking about? Oh,
which show?
God damn it. Why am I such a
Avatar.
Like the biggest one that we've talked about.
Our favorite one. Yeah, so I don't know if I have much more to say about that one. We can get into the finale if you'd like. I mean, we're about an hour into the podcast, so.
I would just like to mention Ed's father looking at her and going, I forgot that I left my son at this
Or were you
orphanage.
a girl? Like,
Or was it a daughter? Yeah, like, you don't even remember that?
You don't even remember your child's gender? Yeah, but that was always like the thing with that character is like people are like, wait, oh, is Ed a girl or a boy? But like Ed is a girl, right? Officially, right? But like, because it's like, oh, the name is Ed, and yeah, so it just seems weird that it's like a girl. It's like always the thing.
Honestly, they don't do anything just specifically pointed out other than saying that she's a girl.
Yeah, which I believe that, you know, I think Ed is a girl. But yeah, you ready to move on to the finale?
Yeah.
So the finale, I don't know. It's a very fitting finale for the show. I think it's, you know, obviously it has the final face off between Spike and Vicious. Obviously the show was always going to end with that. That's the most obvious way to end the show. And Faye comes back, and you actually have kind of an emotional moment there where she doesn't want Spike to go because she doesn't want him to die. Like, she actually cares. Like, you actually start to see like these characters really caring for each other in a way. Like, they're really sad about this. Like, it's really cool because it's like, again, you know, like I mentioned before, the whole idea is like, oh, they all come together, they all act like they don't like each other that much, and they're just working together because it's better for them to work together than not, you know, whatever. But like they really develop like actual, like, you know, they actually care for each other. They actually kind of become a family in a way.
And there's even that little moment when she's aiming the gun at Spike and he opens up at least a little bit for the first time and tells her about, yeah, he lost one of his eyes and that's why it's a different color. And the moment from before about him seeing the past in one eye was like, yeah, because he can't see in one eye, so he always has that like dark spot in his vision.
Yeah,
for like the idea of like when you close your eyes, you can remember things.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It is interesting. It's like, yeah, when we finally meet Julia, like officially.
Then she dies very dramatically.
Very, very dramatically.
Cowboy Bebop would want to do.
Right. And then the fight at the end was really good, though.
Oh yeah.
And there's like that part where like
struggling through the compound and getting more and more hurt, and then
oh my gosh, and then he meets up with the one guy who's on his side. They help each other a little bit. Then he gets shot, and then it's just this cool thing. And then when he finally fights Vicious,
they're like clashing, and he's blocking the sword with the gun, and it's like, oh, this is awesome.
And then like their gun, like he has the sword falls, and the gun falls next to each other, and they're like, we're gonna end this now or whatever. And then they pass each other their weapons again back, and then just kind of go at it again.
Yeah, I was thinking for a moment that they were gonna switch weapons like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, he's going to use the sword and Vicious is going to use the gun. But no, they gave each other their weapons back.
Yeah, they had this silent agreement to end the duel with their own weapons. Yeah. And they just push it back at the same time so they can both equip and start fighting again. Yep.
And then he kills Vicious. And when he kills Vicious, I'm like, yep, Vicious is dead. He's going to go back to the Bebop. They're going to go back to hunting people for bounties. And then he starts walking down the stairs in that moment, and there's like the police or whatever there, and he's very injured, and I'm like, all right, it's going to be like another one of those moments they've had multiple times in the show where he goes back to the Bebop and he's all strapped up in bandages and stuff because he got all beat up, because, you know, that's happened like how many times in the show?
Like 3?
At least, yeah, probably 3 before this. I thought they were going to kind of do that again. And then he just falls, and he has this little finger gun thing he does, and then
bang.
It was a sad moment.
Honestly, I knew as soon as that like last clash happened and Vicious fell I like saw like where Vicious's blade went, and I saw the line of blood that Spike had. I'm just like, okay, he definitely got hit. I don't think he's surviving. This is too Cowboy Bebop of a moment to be like, to not like take this victory from us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because I mean, a lot of the episodes do have these tragic endings, with like, you know, one-off characters who are only in that episode, where like a character dies and it's like this tragic kind of death, tragic ending. But then it's like the final episode is going to have the final tragic ending where it's not some one-off character who dies, it's the main character, you know? So, and it's like, but like he dies after finally beating Vicious. Finally beating his arch enemy, you know?
Yeah. You get one last victory before.
Yeah. Another thing I don't know why I was this, so it ends with a shot of him laying there dead in middle of a staircase. Which automatically made me think of the ending of Death Note. Because remember, the Death Note ends with a shot of the main character laying dead in the middle of a staircase.
Yeah.
Which in Death Note was supposed to represent how he's not going to heaven or hell because he's in the middle of the staircase. But I don't think they were going for that symbolism in this show. But, you know, because this didn't have a theme like that did. But it just made me think of that. And I'm like, did Death Note rip off the final shot of Cowboy Bebop? Was the final shot of Death Note paying homage to the final shot of Cowboy Bebop? Well, it's not the final shot of Death Note, I don't think. It's like the final shot might have been Ryuk. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but either way, like the final that shot, I don't know, it just made me think of that, and I was like,
I mean, yeah, it is very reminiscent of it.
It could just be a coincidence. But maybe Death Note was like trying to pay homage to Cowboy Bebop.
Maybe.
Potentially. I don't know. Because obviously Death Note came after Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's Cowboy Bebop right there. I don't know if I have much more to say. Do you?
I really enjoyed it. I didn't get to hear my favorite quote from it because
it's not in it. It's in the movie.
We discovered that it's in the movie instead, and that there is a movie that exists.
Yeah, we didn't know there was a Cowboy Bebop movie, so we're actually going to do that on the podcast. We're going to talk about the Cowboy Bebop movie next week. So I'm excited for that. So obviously we're thinking it takes place somewhere during the timeline of the show, because obviously Spike is in it and he's not dead, so it takes place before its finale. But I'm pretty sure Faye is in it, so it takes place after Faye's there. So like it's somewhere within the time span of this show. It came out a few years after the show ended, I think. It came out in 2002, I believe. Let me look. 2002.
It might be 2001.
2001. Yeah, that's it. And Cowboy Bebop was like 1998, 99, something like that. So it's like a few years after the show ended. So, well, I don't know when the show actually ended. I know, but whatever. Anyways. So, well, the show, actually, I have it up on Netflix. I can look at the year. 1998. Okay. So, yeah, that's what we'll do. I know there was like something else I had to say. Maybe we'll do the TV show, the Netflix original live action Cowboy Bebop. Probably not.
Why?
Maybe.
No.
Just because we have.
Like a movie is one thing, but a show, no.
If there's a live action version of an animated show we talk about, we have to do it. Come on, we did it for The Last Airbender. We did it for Death Note.
No, but those were movies, not shows.
It's shorter though. It's like 10 episodes, but they're like 40-minute episodes. So it's basically the same length as like 20 episodes of Cowboy Bebop. So.
Yeah, no, I'd rather not.
I I might watch it in my own time sometime, just because I'm curious. But yeah, we don't have to do it on the podcast. I guess the one other thing we have to do then is add Cowboy Bebop to our TV show ranking. So my ranking is, and I'm not sure where I would put it, but here. I have my ranking here somewhere. Basically, so, okay, I can remember my ranking. My ranking is Avatar number 1, number 2, BoJack Horseman, number 3, Death Note, and at the very bottom, Legend of Korra. I think I know where I would put it. Where do you think I would put it?
I'm gonna say just below BoJack Horseman.
I'm actually not sure. Between this and Death Note, so it is below BoJack Horseman, but not. Okay. Is it above Death Note or below Death? I'm actually not sure. I thought I had a definitive answer, but I started to think about it, and I'm not sure. Would I like Death Note better or this? They're very different.
They are extremely different.
Which is really cool because it's nice to get animes that are very different, instead of animes that don't just feel like the typical anime, I guess. I don't know. Right, I don't know what the typical anime is, but
Oh, trust me, there are so many generic tropes that are used so often.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not really sure actually. Because I was thinking that I would put Death Note above it. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, actually, no, I'm not sure. Because I like both of them a lot, but for very different reasons. So yeah, I'm not sure. You, however, I feel like you would put it... You might put it right below... Okay, because your top is Avatar. Then Death Note, then Korra, then BoJack at the bottom.
Yep.
You might actually put Cowboy Bebop right below Avatar, but above Death Note.
I was thinking that too, yeah. I mean, it is difficult to decide whether or not it's better than Death Note, but I think for now I'll put it above Death Note.
All right. Yeah, I might do the same actually. It's very debatable, but I don't know. I do want to rewatch Death Note at some point because I've only seen it that one time that we did, and I'm interested in seeing it again. But anyways, that's about all for today, everyone. So thank you all for listening to WABAN podcast. Next week we will be talking about the Cowboy Bebop movie. So that'll be really exciting. I'm actually really excited to see. I'm just curious what kind of what they would do for a movie format of in a 2 hours of one story of Cowboy Bebop, because Cowboy Bebop is all different stories. Each episode is like a different story, and then they have a couple 2-part episodes. So I'm actually very interested to see what you could do with a feature-length Cowboy Bebop story. So that'll be cool. Anyways, so that'll be next week, and that'll be at noon Eastern Standard Time on Saturday next week, because that's when you can expect every new episode of the podcast is Saturdays at noon Eastern Standard Time. And you can listen to the podcast on multiple different platforms. That includes our YouTube channel, which is titled WABAN. You can find a link to that in the description if you're not already on there listening to it. But yeah, we have the podcast on that YouTube channel, and we also have some gaming videos we've been doing. So that's been really exciting. We're almost done with uploading the Portal 2 videos. It'll be kind of almost done, I guess. It's getting close. And you could also listen to the podcast on other platforms, a bunch of audio platforms, including things like Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and many other audio platforms. You just search WABAN on those. You can definitely probably find it. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you'd like to see me do videos about movies and stuff. So, Yeah. I think my next video might be a trilogy time on the Dark Knight trilogy, potentially. I think that's what I'm going to do because the new Batman movie came out, so it's kind of related to, it's something about Batman would make sense to do. Which I did see the new Batman movie and I actually really liked it. So that's just a little added thing. It was really good. Anyways, unrelated. So moving on. Anyways, thank you all for listening to WABAN. Goodbye, everyone.
See you, Space Cowboy.